full, and all of a sudden it crashes and you're starving. This burns slowly, in your body digest. And so I've been eating that. So I do recommend getting into a routine, right? If you have a certain calorie, that you're at, or if you like the 21-day meal, fix a certain plan, keep sticking to it because it's predictable then, right? You're not guessing what you're going to eat at your next meal. And so then I also got into a lot of salads. I could eat my weight, right, just about in lettuce, almost no calories, right? No, and I don't put ranch dressing all over it. I would get a very low calorie thing and just put just enough for taste. But I would load it up with like celery and carrots and stuff like that, right? That's good vegetable stuff and it's filler, right? But not a whole lot of calories. A lot of fish and chicken. Pretty much over the last 4 years, have not had any red meat. And I used to love a good steak. Give me a porterhouse anytime, right? 350 pounds, give me the porterhouse, right? Or like Buck, I think they had whatever that big steak he had to eat. It was like the 100 ounce or something, whatever it was, right? I mean, that was me, but more fish and chicken than anything else. Tilapia, like not fried fish or anything, but like tilapia and some healthier fish, a lighter fish and stuff like that. But I didn't have rice, didn't have bread, and I didn't have potatoes. I started going to yams and some sweet potatoes, maybe a little more healthier, right? The yams maybe a little more than the sweet potatoes. And even then, I was never a yam or potato person before, right? So I started to like cauliflower. I still am not a big fan of cauliflower, but if when you have a jonesing for pizza, right? Cauliflower crust pizza's pretty good, right? So you get that kind of texture and flavor. It's thin crust to be sure, but that helped me out. And also cauliflower mashed potatoes, right? So I've had that from time to time to give me that consistency of mashed potatoes and kind of like, yeah, this is good. The one thing I would say too, Teresa, like the hardest part with the food is, one thing my wife told me in that first 100 pounds when I wanted, when I didn't do it, but I really was, having those urges. It was so hard, to not grab those Doritos again. We ended up getting stuff out of our house, right? I mean, my wife and I were on the same page, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it was, she told me, hey, honey, you don't need to eat that because you already know what it tastes like. And so I stuck with that. When I wanted to eat something, and if it's for you, if it's a donut or sweets or cake or whatever it is, when you see that, it's like, I don't need to eat that. I already know what it tastes. It's going to taste exactly the same as last time I had it, right? And so that's what kind of is that I've already had it. I know what it tastes. I don't need to taste it again. But some of us may be in a split household, right? And so what I mean by split household is you're on your fitness journey and you're moving along and you're doing the 21-day fix and you're doing the portion controls and you're prepping your food and you're doing all that, but your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, your spouse, kids, they may not be on the same page, right? And so you've got stuff in the house that shouldn't be there, soda and chips and sweets and junk food and stuff like that, right? And so that's hard, and so it makes it that much harder to stay the course, right? Because of that. And so if you're in that kind of my wife and I were on the same, right? She saw how serious I was. Right? You stick to that, we had no junk in the house. Remember, our girls were already away at college, right? So we didn't have that to contend with. And so when they would come back home, right, and break and stuff like that, they made a comment that our house was like a prison. Like we had prison food because we didn't have anything that they could eat, that they thought they could eat in there, right? And I took it as a compliment, There was no soda. There was nothing else that we kept because if it's kept in the house, someone bought it for a reason, and the chances are higher that you will get up, fall off the wagon if it's in the house. So from here, yeah. So the question is, so what I do for work, how do I fit my workouts, with my work schedule? So again, I would schedule it, right? So my hours are, back then they were normal 8 to 5 type hours, right? Some days I'd work, 12 hours or something like that. So I would schedule it, either the double workouts would either be, back to back, depending on the day, or I would schedule it to do one before work, one after work. Now, again, if there were half-hour workouts, I'd get up a little earlier, so I'd sacrifice some of my sleep, and I'd do before work. And then the one after, I made sure I got it in before anything else, before TV, before anything else I did. I had to get the workout in. So I made sure I got it in, because if you don't schedule it, right, if it's important enough, right, you schedule it. Because if you don't schedule your workout, someone's going to schedule that time for something they want from you, right? If it's important enough, you got to put it down somewhere. So when someone's asking you, hey, what are you doing between this time? I'm working out, because if you don't, life happens, right? Kids and sports and shuttling this and them back and forth and this and that. And before you know it, it's 9 o'clock at night and you haven't worked out, right? And that's going to be one of the first things that go for a lot of people. It's like, I'll make it up tomorrow, or maybe I'll just skip today. And I felt, for me, if I allowed myself to skip a workout, I was cheating myself, right? That nobody else knew I was going to skip it, but I knew I was going to skip it, and I couldn't do that. So that's why I don't skip Beachbody workouts, right? My runs, the last 2 weeks, Rebecca, have been crazy. I've been doing stuff like this 4 or 5 times a night for the past 10 days, and that's okay, right? To get my story out, just to tell my story. So I haven't been running too much. I'll make up for it on the weekends, right? So again, I don't schedule my runs, because some of them are the minimum run I'll do will be between 6.5 and 8 miles. And that takes at least an hour. So, I mean, that's already some time. So it's harder for me to schedule my runs. My Beachbody workouts, I will be rigid on those, and then flexible on the runs, right? So now if I'm doing 25, 35 miles a week, there might be a couple of days where I need to do some 10s or 12s, right? So, so for the challengers, right, with some weight to lose, right, I would say is, why'd you start in the first place? Like what made you want to do it? And I just want to encourage you to have the right frame of mind, right? To have that mindset that, you're in this is a marathon, right? This is a lifelong fitness journey. It's not, let me get this and get what I want to, get it right now and then be done with it. I mean, again, I was in it for the long haul, right? But it took me 20 years for me to say, I'm going to do it, right? And so, again, you can tell somebody how great a program is. You can guarantee it, let's say you had a total guarantee, but until they're ready to do it, they're going to hear it from a different, they're going to see it from a different lens. And, I just encourage you to stay the course, right? I mean, it's tough with folks' fitness journeys, right? I mean, like, don't, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Like, I don't compare myself with anybody else. Like, I don't compare myself to Sean T or Tony Horton or anybody else that, has a 6-pack abs or something like that. I don't have 6-pack abs, right? I'm working on it. They're underneath there. I can feel them. But I mean, I don't compare myself to the next person. And you shouldn't, either. You shouldn't compare yourself to anybody else in this group, or friends or family or neighbors or anybody else. But do compare yourself to yesterday. Are you better than you were yesterday? Are you working out harder than you were? For as much as I work out, I'll admit, I give 100% to every workout, but my 100% might vary from day to day, depending on life, right? Stuff happens. If I have a 12-hour day at work, I'm gonna be a little more tired, but I'll work out and I'll give it my 100% that. I'll give it all I have that day, but it may not have been the same 100% as it was yesterday, or the same 100% that's going to be tomorrow, right? So I will acknowledge that. So Lizzie's saying, you're going on the road for 5 weeks, stay with friends, family, keep your nutrition in check when you're in guest somebody's home. I would say try to see what kind of good options you have. I mean, if they're a really good friend, they'll be okay if you went to the grocery store and bought your own food and healthy stuff, right? If they're those good of friends you're going to hang out with for 5 weeks, I would imagine, so that you could prep your own food if they're not already on some kind of a plan, right? But if they got junk in the house, go buy some chicken, go buy some, whatever plan you're using now. If you're on 21-day fix or something like that, or you got your favorite go-to menus, I would suggest that you go ahead and stick to those, right? Bring your containers with you. They're not that bulky, right? But I mean, if you got your Shakeology and your packets, bring the packets. They don't take up much space, right? But the big tub might, right? But you put it maybe in a little. When I was traveling, I would get the tubs of the Shakeology, but I would pour it into the Ziploc bags. My wife would look at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not bringing the tub at least, So maybe you bring the package or something like that, right? But I would still get it in. I mean, you can still make good choices. When I go to restaurants, people always look at me funny. They almost look at me like, they almost treat me like I'm a vegan. If you're a vegan, I got nothing against vegans, but I'm just saying they kind of look at me like that. Where they'll be like, oh, we're going out to dinner. It's a group of 20 or 30 of us. And they'll be like, oh, Daniel, is this place okay? Can you go to this place? I'm like, go wherever you want to go. I will be fine there because I will make the most healthiest choice for me there. Most places today have a skinny menu or something like that. You go to Cheesecake Factory, they got a great skinny menu, right? You know, so wherever you go, now not McDonald's or something like that, right? I mean, but like major restaurants, there's a healthy alternative that people go. So I always say, don't look at me like I'm not like that. Like I'm gonna go wherever you want to go. I'll be fine. Is what I tell them, right? So I'm glad the tubs are already packed, right? But just again, if they're good friends, look at their food and you'll know right away whether or not it's going to be okay or not, right? And if it's not, then just handle your business. All right, Casey, good night.
There was another question that came in through the Facebook message. Which would you say gives you the best results, like percentage-wise, your workouts or your faithfulness to your nutrition and diet, or maybe a combination? I don't know what you.
So for what kind of perspective? Weight loss or what was it?
Yeah, like what percentage of your results were from mindfulness of food versus exercise?
Gotcha. Well, so I would say the battle, right, is 80 to 90% in the kitchen. I'm going to say 80, 90%, right? You always hear that. It's about 80% of the battle in general, and I have to agree with it. It's going to come down to food, right? Either way, I think. You know, a person can only work out so much in a day, even me, right? I work out, I'm going to say more than anybody on this call, and probably more than anybody that I've talked to in the last 10 days, right? It's just how it is, right? Not many people do 2 hours of Beachbody workouts or 2 hours of any kind of really, really hard workouts. And then running and everything else, right? If my nutrition was not in check, I couldn't work out enough. I could run 50 miles a week and not be able to keep up with bad food intake. There's just no way, right? At my job, I work, 9-10 hour days, let's say, so it's busy days, right? So it's those waking hours, right? It's those hours. The hardest part is not the Facebook post and the Instagram post of people working out, right? People are always going to show best foot forward. I'm working out. But the hardest part is when you're by yourself at 10 o'clock at night in your kitchen and nobody else is there to see it. That's the hardest part, right? That's the part that you being you and you being me, you have to overcome, is that when no one else is looking, is when it comes down to that. You already know what it tastes like. You don't need to have it. How bad do you want your goal is really what it comes down to. What's your why as well too? My why I already told you about, right? I want to be around for my daughter as long as possible. And so by me getting down to my high school weight, it's going to do it. Great. I could still die tomorrow and I'm okay with that. But I had to try. And also when I started getting down to about 220, I also, felt like I needed to give my wife back the person that she met. Now, albeit I have gray, got a few wrinkles, right? But this is what I looked like back in high school. And she never asked for it, right? But I felt like I owed it to give that person back to her. And so part of it became that as well too. Started with my daughters, but I also included my wife as well too. It's just that I felt like I owed it to her. And so that's my why as well too. That's what keeps me going day in, day out, is to not go back to that person, right? I still have that big picture of me. If you guys seen the big picture of me, I still have that pinned up. I don't want to be that person again. If that person could be inside of me, waiting to come back out, right? It's that Incredible Hulk, right? Just, I mean, it's right there, and if it's gone unchecked, it could easily do that,
Yeah.
No, I don't. Very, thank you, Daniel. It's very inspirational. And what a great, great learning lesson. Yeah.
It is. It was for me too. You know, I've learned a lot about myself and what I'm capable of doing. You know, what anybody's capable of doing if you really put your mind to it. Lean on God very hard. You know, I mean, you know, we lean on Him for a lot of other stuff,
Yeah.
right? But for our health, we definitely should. You know, if nothing else, don't. It's not God, please give me a six-pack. It's, you know, give me the strength to can get up tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the morning to do my workout. You know, give me the strength to not grab that piece of chocolate cake, you know, that kind of a thing. You know, it's, you know, the strength for that, because it's in all of us. You know, we just need to be able to tap it.
Yeah, I think that's so good. And I think it definitely taps into the, for sure, it's biblical that it taps into our soul, our spirit, who we are as a person. I heard a pastor say that if we can say no to food, we can say no to just about anything. So sometimes there are sins that may be entangling us or things that are really hard, but it just gives us self-control, you know, and I definitely fall in that category at 10 o'clock at night, maybe 11 o'clock, you know, it's, I struggle just like everybody else, you know, and, but it's such good insight. Anybody else have any more questions that you want to ask Daniel? I do want to say he is a finalist. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the challenge and where we can go, Daniel, to vote for you so that you win.
Yeah.
Well, the voting's closed, so it closed on Monday. So, so it opened up. Yeah, it was from the 5th through the 12th. So it's just for 1 week.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, and thankfully it's not still ongoing, because it was driving me bananas. It's just the whole media frenzy of the whole thing, right? But they opened up for 1 week of voting. And I think it's really to drive traffic to their site, right? I mean, Beachbody's put out a lot of money just in general, not even for the 100,000 grand prize, but it's probably close to $1 million when they do all the monthly awards to everything. I mean, I think cumulative is probably close to $1 million. So I'm sure they want traffic to their site, new people to get an account, to drive traffic, check out what's doing at beachbody.com and everything else. And so I think that's why it's a week, right? They want people to kind of go there, right?
Gotcha.
But I mean, the other transformation stories, they are so inspirational as well. If you guys haven't seen the stories, right, go to beachbodychallenge.com, and all the finalists are there, and they're just so inspirational. All the men, the men and women. Women have some great stories too. There's one woman there who's lost, I think it's 160 pounds, and she looks great, you know. And she took control of her fitness well. They have all taken control of their fitness, and some of them have done different things. Some of them have lost a lot of weight, like I have, and some have actually, you know, bulked up and gotten muscular. You know, they lost 100 pounds, but they look great, and they're really, you know, they're big, you know. But everybody's story, you know, there's a lot of commonalities across, but there's also some unique stuff as well too. You know, I'm in one of the old man groups, right? I'm in the 40 to 49 age group, which I think is a harder age group to lose as well too. And there's even the 50 plus old finalist. He's got a great story as well, you know. And I think, you know, but everybody in their own right has a great story. So if you guys haven't checked it out, you know, go to the Beachbody Challenge or beachbodychallenge.com and just check out the stories. And so for those of you who will be in New Orleans next month, if you see me, come up and say hi. I will be there, of course. You know, I'll be there during the summit, and then I'll be there for the celebration on Saturday, which is when they give out, you know, their awards and everything else that they do for the coaches and whatnot. And then we'll also be there for the reveal, so to speak, right, of the grand prize. So, you know, win or lose, you know, to me, it's already decided. You know, whoever's going to win is going to win, and I'm okay with it either way. It'd be nice to have it, but, you know, if it's supposed to be somebody else, then it'll be somebody else.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, look for us. We have about 10 coaches coming, you know, from Life Changers, so we will definitely look for you. That'd be awesome to get a picture with you. Just curious, so you're a Beachbody coach, obviously. Like, what are you building your team? Are you building your business that way too?
Well, so here's the thing. So my first experience with a Beachbody coach, and I've talked about this on quite a number of calls, was horrible. The only communication I had with my Beachbody coach for my entire transformation was an occasional email for me to buy Shakeology or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no challenge groups. There was none of this. There was none of these team Zoom calls or anything like that, right? So I like to say I did it in spite of my in spite of my coach, right? But the coach I have now, right? So I mean, he very persistent. Found me on Facebook, and it was just really early part of this year where he was really coming to me again. I kind of found that formula I was doing on my own, and whoever was my coach when I was getting Shakeology, they got whatever credit was for that, right? But this coach really came up to me and wanted me to just hit me on Messenger, just talking this and that. And then he finally said, "You have a beach body coach." And I said, "You know what, I do, but I couldn't tell you if it was a guy or girl. That's how much I know them." And he asked if I would change over to him. You know what? You asked, sure.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't have a coach. I don't have a coach as far as I'm concerned. He was bold enough to ask me.
That's awesome.
Like, you know what? Sure, I'll change over to you.
Who are you under?
And then he encouraged Eddie Fritz.
Okay, don't know him, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so he encouraged me to share my story. He's the one who encouraged me to become a coach. I mean, this was even before this whole finalist thing. He was just like, "You got to get your story out. Like, you got to tell your story. It's a great story." And then when I told him, "Hey man, like, he got me on to be a coach," and then I told him, "Hey, I just got an email that they want my pictures, from, this is the time for the challenge, And so when I submitted it, he's like, "Yeah, that's great, and then I became a finalist." And he was like, "Oh yeah, it was great, like, yeah, I mean, out of 60, 70,000 submissions, to be chosen as one of the 4 finalists and actually be the finalist out of my age group, right? Because it's one finalist in each age group. And so to represent the 40 to 49ers, I'll gladly carry that mask. But I mean, he's just been so encouraging, and since I became a coach, just so much encouraging me and kind of just come alongside me. And I see how he's coming alongside people, as well too, and how a coach really should be, right? I mean, if a coach is in it just to playing Shakeology, probably in the wrong business, and that's even, I heard say that, right? I mean, it's probably okay not to be a coach, but to really partner with people, and especially the challengers as well too, and to encourage them, and because when they are ready for it, I mean, they will be ready for it, one day, right? I mean, but to have somebody just care on them and love on them and encourage them and stuff like that, because life is hard. We're all part of this journey, like I mentioned, and at different days, it's harder than other days. And but to have a support group and to have people that care, and to be able to share their struggles and successes, just like I shared with you. Mine's an extreme one, to be sure, but if anything, to be extreme is to nothing else but show you how somebody that needs to lose less weight and to become more fit and healthier can definitely do it. Not to minimize it or say it's going to be any easier, but that, if I can lose 180 plus pounds, that, someone can lose 20, they really put their mind to it. Right. So but from a coach perspective, to have that encouragement and to have that regular and accountability to each other, to make sure you're not, are you prepping? Are you doing your workouts? Did you do your workout? Are you, are you eating that chocolate cake, or whatever that is, they help hold each other accountable, especially if we allow ourselves to be held accountable, to give you permission. Like Rebecca, like you need to come at me if you think I'm not, I'm saying that part of that too is that permission to hold each other accountable as well.
Yeah, so good. Wow, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for jumping on our call, because this is the heart of the business. This is the heart of what we, because like you said, a lot of people will send an email, "Have you bought your Shakeology?" And we want, we want to help people right where they are. We want to, just love on people. And you've just been I know all of us are going to be thinking, between Sean T Week, he's been, exceedingly motivationally, inspiring this week. But I think all of us are going to be thinking, you know what, if Daniel can do this, we're going to jump in and give it our all. So I know that you're going to be on our minds tomorrow when we're working out. So thank you.
Yeah, no, yeah, sure. And maybe even challenge you guys to do the workout twice, right? Try that. See what it looks like. It's okay to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's okay. You might yourself. You might feel really, really. Never once after I worked out did I say, "Oh man, I wish I didn't work out today."
Right.
I've never said that, right? Even as tired on a
10-minute abs.
trail.
Even starting 10-minute abs, it's only 10 extra minutes, right? But
Sure. Yeah. Just do a little something more than what you did the day before. Go for a walk for 20 or 30 minutes if you haven't never done that or done it recently. Just do something different. Do something more. Don't change what you're doing. Do what you're doing, but add just a little bit of something else. Not something significant, but something that you can maintain.
That's good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you, Daniel, for being on. You guys have an awesome night.
That was fantastic.
It was absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. If you want me, if you have a bunch of questions, maybe the team comes up with, you want me to come back on and answer questions like rapid fire.
Absolutely.
I'm willing to do that as well too, right? So just let me know.
All right, great.
So,
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
see you in New Orleans, and God bless, guys. Thanks.
All right,
Bless you too.
good night.
Good night.